Tonight we begin with a community advocate, one who believes that mental health and music go hand in hand, so much so that he's the founder of the mental health nonprofit organization Mind Over Music Movement, which just celebrated its 2-year anniversary just last week. Let's give a warm welcome for our very first braver, Chandler Loveless.
Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Can you guys hear me? Awesome. As Jeanine said, my name is Chandler Loveless. I am the president and founder of a nonprofit organization called the Mind Over Music Movement. We are an organization that reaches out to the community through local arts, local music. We tell people it's okay not to be okay. We help them find resources. We kind of create an open dialogue to eliminate stigma, things like that. You guys are going to have to forgive me. I'm not used to doing this. This is usually something at night for me and like in a bar. And there's usually like a lot more, alcohol going on. And people are super stoked to see me. So I'm going to try my best to get through this. So my actual story starts in 2011. I was diagnosed with something called schizoaffective disorder. And if you've never heard of that before, it's a good half step, not good, but it's a half step between schizophrenia and depression. You hear things and you sometimes see things and you have those intense lows and it's rough. It was very hard to deal with. I grew up in Middleburg, Florida, which if you're not familiar is like nowhere. So mental health wasn't a thing. Like we didn't talk about it, So I knew what I was going through, but I didn't know what it was. Nobody ever talked to me about it. And I didn't feel comfortable with it because there was, always the stigma, like I was crazy or, things like that. So, like she said, there's going to be some triggers, for people here. I know when you come to something like this and somebody explains a feeling of something that you've never experienced, like if you've never dealt with depression and someone explains what hopelessness feels like, to an extent you'll understand. So I'm going to do my best to explain what this feeling was like. This feeling is kind of like a bomb, like inside of you. And you know it's there and nobody else can see it. And you know that at one point and someday it's going to go off. And the people around you are going to be incredibly hurt. And so you do your absolute best to push people away and you isolate yourself, which was what I did. I spent a very long period of my life with, going out of my way to push people away, like not have friends, not be in a relationship, things like that. And I ran away from my family. I moved out, and I was very disconnected, and it was rough. For the depression aspect of it, it's ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster. So fast forward to 2015, and I'm at a low point. Luckily, I had an amazing boss at the time at Starbucks. Her name is Jennifer Hennessy. If you're not here tonight, I don't think you are. Hi on the YouTube channel. Thanks for supporting me, by the way. I really appreciate that. But she kind of pulled me out of that low point. And I remember thinking to myself, I never wanted to feel this way again, but I also didn't want other people to feel that way. And so I had this idea that I wanted to raise money for like a clinic or any kind of like psychology clinic, anything like that. Anything I could do to give money to somebody that could help others. And I went through the very short list of things that I'm good at and thought, like, how can I raise money? And up to that point, I had been a musician that was touring, and I was pretty active, and, not to, like, toot my own horn, like, I was pretty well known, And so I thought, like, I'll do a music festival. Like, that'll be awesome. And in my mind, like, 40,000 bands are going to play, and all of Jacksonville's going to shut down for the day, and they're going to come out, and I'm going to make, like, $474,000. And I'm pretty sure, like, I'm going to get, like, a sash, and they're going to make me the mayor of Jacksonville. I don't know how politics work, I'm sorry. So I had this big goal, and so I put the word out there that I was looking for people. I was looking for people to help me with this. And I met these two guys, Andrew Carroll, Sean Jasmine. I know you guys aren't here. Again, thank you. They met up with me, and we sat and talked for about 3 hours. And we went over every idea we had, from artists we wanted to work with to where we would do this and how we would raise extra money and cool little things we could do to raise awareness. And it was great. It was really, it breathed a lot of life back into me. But I went home from that meeting that night, and like something didn't feel right. Something felt kind of off about the whole thing. I knew I was excited, but I couldn't tell why I wasn't fully excited. And I'll never forget, I got a message at 1 o'clock in the morning from Andrew, and he's like, hey, can I talk to you about something? I'm like, yeah, for sure. And he says, like, something doesn't feel right to me. And I was like, oh, awesome, like, we're gonna figure this out together. And the next message he sent me changed the course of my life. He said, why are we doing this for one day when we could do this year-round? And that was it. Like, that was the missing piece. And so we go back to deliberation, and we start talking about how we'll run this organization, what we'll do. We started talking about names, and that was probably the most tedious part. I really wanted to do something like Funky Chance, Mental Health, Good Time, like, something. Because, like, you're going to remember that, you know what I mean? And he's like, what about Mind Over Music? And I remember thinking, that is the single dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, I remember being like, you're out. Like, you should quit. He's like, oh, no, it's great. People will remember it. And I'm like, no, because our acronym is MOM. And, like, no offense to any moms, but, like, I don't want to be a mom. Like, and, like, even to this day, our website is, like, Mom Incorporated, which, terrible. So, like Jeanine said, we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary last year. And in that time, it's been ups and downs, for sure. It's been a struggle. I've had the pleasure of working with bands, if anybody recognizes names like Cage the Elephant or Taking Back Sunday. Like, those are my friends now. Like, I get to hang out and talk to them when they come to town and move around with them. And it's awesome to meet these people that I've idolized. I get to meet people in the community, and they tell me their story. And a lot of these times, these people open up for the first time. They're talking to us about stuff they've never told anyone before. And that's such a great feeling. On the other end of the spectrum, I've sat with a complete stranger while they overdose on heroin and heard their final words. So this organization has taken me through a lot in the last 2 years. And to kind of wrap up my time with you guys and wrap up my speech, because I'm sure that you guys are not nervous at all. Yeah. To wrap up my time with you guys, I wanted to share something that I spoke about at our 2-year anniversary. As this organization grows and we progress, it evolves. And I kind of feel that the members of my team, we evolve as well. And what we feel is important to talk about kind of changes. And last week at our 2-year anniversary, I brought to light to the fact that when we started this organization, nobody wanted to work with us. Like, the community wanted to work with us. They were great. People flocked to us, and they wanted to tell us their story, and they wanted to get involved, and artists and bands, they were all on board. But the city, other organizations, we had to prove ourselves because we were these no-name kids who hadn't proved anything yet. And it was like pulling teeth. It was difficult. I know for the first 6 or 7 months, I had to harass people with emails, and I was just showing up. This is the first time I've admitted this. I just would show up to like mental health meetings at City Hall, and I would be there just looking like this, and they thought they were like getting robbed, and I was like, no, like I'm here to, and I mean, it was difficult. We had to do a lot. We had to put ourselves out there, and I remember back then thinking, there's going to be a point where this isn't the case. Like, there's going to be a point where any resource I need, I'll be able to get. Like, I can just ask for it. Like, we'll be so well known, and we'll work so hard, and like, you'll see our logo, and it's gonna be like that Superman logo. Like, people are gonna know exactly what it means. And getting ready for our 2-year anniversary, I realized that it happened. Like, we've hit that point. I realized that any resources I need, any contacts I need, anything I needed, I could have. And I had this kind of weird feeling, kind of like the first night when I couldn't figure out what was wrong. Like, what was missing. And I realized that 2 years ago, when I was having all of those thoughts of what I was going to achieve, that's not what I really wanted at all. I realized that all I've ever really needed was this microphone and this stage in front of a group of people just like you. And that's what I want you guys to take away from this, from my time with you, is that you don't need resources. You don't need a lot of money. You don't need to have a lot of notoriety. You just got to have passion. Like, you just got to want to make a change. You just got to be able to tell somebody, like, I'm here for you. I understand what you're going through. And if you need to talk, like, I'm there. And so when you look up at the stage and you see the rest of my co-presenters, like, keep that in mind as they share their stories with you guys. Guys, thank you so much. My name's Chandler Loveless. You can pick up flyers in the back from my organization.